environmental organizations' consultation processes are essential, of course, to get through the policymakers. We have a lot of experience with informal and spontaneous consultation. But we also think that formalized consultations are important because the informal ones is always more for a privileged group, and we think it's important that also citizens and local organizations, environmental organizations, have the chance to get through to the Commission. But it's very important how it's been organized. There's more of a habit now to work with the internet, but the internet is not really providing dialogue. It's a one-way process. The questions are quite often also very much Brussels slang and very much procedural. So there's still a lot of things to be improved, and we definitely don't want such kind of formalized consultations through internet to replace the direct dialogue, where you're not only meeting directly the policymakers but also the other stakeholders, so that there's really a process which leads to better legislation, but also to more acceptance for the legislation, more understanding, so that there's also a better chance that after the political process is over, legislation is really implemented and makes a difference for the environment.
Social NGOs are complaining that they are consulted, but that nothing is done with the information that they give, that they are not being heard. How do you feel about that?
Well, you can't say that we are never heard. Sometimes we do see improvements. Sometimes we are fighting against deterioration. I mean, the consultation process, the political process, there are commercial interests who usually wants to reduce the impacts upon potential impacts on them, and we are there to probably increase the impacts upon them for the sake of the environment. So we are often already quite happy if the original proposal from the Commission is not diluted, and in other cases we are able to make more progress, and that is especially the case when the situation is less politicized.
When you look back at the last 5 or 10 years, people are saying, well, there has been some change, there is better regulation, there's more awareness about the need for better laws instead of more laws. How do you feel about that?
I think it's very, very difficult to really make perfect legislation that is practical for everybody in the European Union. We are now 27 member states with very different economic, social, historical, cultural, different types of administration. So I think it's an illusion to think that you can have perfect legislation. And the problem now is in the environmental field in particular, we have now to deal with a lot of new pieces of legislation that are in fact not really new pieces, but they are reviewing the old ones in trying to make them better. And in the process, they often get more complex. The ideas, if you create more flexibility for local authorities and so on, that will have a better impact. Many local authorities are really worried about that, because the contradiction is that they would like to have much more clear, straightforward indications what expected from them. And it's also for the citizens a clearer picture. Industry, in the end, on the one hand asks for flexibility, but once the implementation stage is there, they want to be treated equally from their competitors in other countries. So there is a contradiction there, and we are struggling with that all the time.
So in the end, when you look back, the European Commission has an official better regulation strategy and policy. Is that maybe a little bit more for show than for a real objective?
Well, so far in the environmental field, we have not seen dramatic impacts of the better regulation exercise, apart from that it has created a lot of work for us and other lobbyists in order to repackage existing pieces of legislation.
So double work, basically.
Well, I don't want to deny that you have to review legislation time and again, because situations are changing. So it is important that you do so. But, for example, the pressure of reducing administrative burden and competitiveness proofing and so on is complex, because the environment is still deteriorating, and it's in the end, it is of course the basis on which our economy, our social life is based. And if we don't take care of that, then we are creating short-term gains and long-term losses. And as this is in the environmental field particularly, you have the gains of diluting legislation are short-term, the losses are long-term, and then particularly in impact assessment, people want to have figures. it's very difficult to compare the real cost of today with what potentially you may gain if you have ambitious legislation, and the short-term objectives tend to win in such a battle, which is unfortunate for us.